Hi everyone! Today I'm here to talk about Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I was really excited to read this book. It's honestly been on my list for a while. I wouldn't say I'm a mega fan of Stephen King. I don't read every book that he's ever published or grab them off the shelf the minute they come out, but I have enjoyed a fair amount of books that I've read by him. Some of them I never really got into. I tried to read this book called Dreamcatcher and I never really got into it. I also might have just been too young to read it when I tried to read it. But there's a lot of his, like Pet Sematary freaked me out, The Shining was really good, The Mist creeped the crap out of me, probably because I was reading it and it was legit a misty day outside and I was like, there are monsters and they're gonna come and get me right now while I'm reading this book. So yeah, in general, I tend to like the books that he's written and the ones that I've read. So I was very excited to read Fairy Tale to see where Stephen King went with, the general concept of fairy tales because let's be honest, like a bunch of Disney movies are adaptations of fairy tales, just like way nicer. So I was like, oh, I bet Stephen King's are gonna be darker, right? Let's see where he takes this. So really high hopes for the book. That being said, it definitely was not my favorite book of his. I think if you have the time to like put in the effort to read it because it is like 600 pages, then you could, but I wouldn't put it like high on your list at all of books of his to read. It had really high potential. The beginning was very, very good. There was a lot of setup. It's maybe 150 pages of just setup. But Stephen King is very successful, so he basically can write any length book that he wanted to, and it would be published and it would sell really well because he does have that huge fan base, right? But even then, it was honestly like kind of mundane things. Like Charlie, the main character, was going around and helping this old man and just doing things at his house, but I was invested in it. I was like, I like these slice of life type things. Like, what's going to happen next? Because I know this is going to lead to something crazy and dark because this is a Stephen King book. So, really loved the setup. And then I felt like once Charlie gets into this fairy tale world, it kind of started falling apart, to be honest, which was really, really sad and upsetting to me. There's also a point in the book where there's a bunch of new characters introduced, and this is kind of a spoiler, so, if you see a book review that I'm doing and you want to read the book first, just go read it, because there might be spoilers in all of these, but a bunch of characters get introduced, and some of them don't end up surviving, but I didn't care. Like, I didn't have enough time to get to know them, to care about their lives. There was one guy that I cared about, and all the other ones, I was like, I'm just trying to get to the end of this book by now, which, once again, it was kind of sad. And it, to me, didn't have a satisfying ending. It also annoyed me, and this is a thing that does annoy me a lot. I don't know why, because as a kid, I think it was fine. But it's prophecies. Like, if you don't introduce a prophecy at the beginning of a book, please don't introduce it like halfway or 3/4 of the way through. Because it's kind of like Charlie's just a kid who wants to do good things and help people. And why can't he just be that? Like, why does there have to be a prophecy about some prince that comes to this fairy tale world and rescues them from the evil? Why can't he just be a good person trying to help these people? Because, yeah, like I said, like when it happened in Harry Potter in the 5th book that there was some BS prophecy, I was like, no, Voldemort just kills people because he's a bad person. Like, there didn't need to be a prophecy about Harry defeating him. He would have just gone and killed the Potters anyway because they're Aurors and they're catching his Death Eaters. Like, he's a piece of crap. That's just, it drove me crazy. Like I said, if there's going to be a prophecy, put him at the beginning. I feel like a good example of that was the Gregor the Overlander series, where there's prophecies in every book, and it's kind of fine because they're introduced towards the beginning and it's a thing that happens throughout the whole series. And I was fine with that because it sets it up like that. But like this book, like I said, it kind of comes in like halfway through. You're the prince that was prophesied, and I was like, oh, can't he just be a good person? I don't know. And then it didn't really have to do with anything except that other people were lazy and didn't do anything because they were all waiting for a prince. Like, that was kind of the whole point of the prophecy. But I'm like, maybe they're just lazy a-holes and think they can't do anything because it's such an, like, oppressive regime that they now live under. But even then, it kind of wasn't. It was just everything was kind of disappointing once he got to the fairy tale world. It wasn't like set up well enough. The evil guys were meh and not that compelling, and they just lived in the city that everyone had abandoned. And I'm like, why don't people just come back during the day and overthrow them? There was just, it didn't jive well. It didn't mesh well. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. And that was really, really disappointing because I was really, really, really excited about it. And it had a good setup. It's Charlie basically wants to go into this fairy tale world to help this dog basically go back in time. Because it's an old dog. He's grown close to it. There's this magical wheel in the fairy tale land that can turn back time and make you young again. And I'm like, yeah, we all care about our pets. Like, I didn't want this dog to die either. Like, I want that to happen. But the rest of the story, no. I was so upset. I wasted time reading this book. So, if you're a mega fan of Stephen King and you have to read it, go ahead. But honestly, if you're looking for a Stephen King book to read and you haven't read one, or you have read a few and you want to read some more, don't read Fairy Tale. Just don't. It wasn't that great. Go read Pet Sematary, go read The Shining, go read Carrie, go read The Mist, like anything but this. Yeah, I was very disappointed, so. That's Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Yeah, high hopes, and then, and that's why it was disappointing, and the whole prophecy BS thing that annoys me. Yeah, anyway, so I forgot to think of a question, but I guess since there's a dog heavily featured, who's your favorite dog I'll say in fiction, because my favorite dog was, of course, my dog Cooper, who passed away like 10 years ago. 10 years ago this month. But fiction dog? Now I'm trying to think of things, because I tend to stay away from dog movies and books that feature dogs because they almost always effing die, right? So, because we read this book in elementary school that I still remember, a dog called Kitty, and the dog ended up dying at the end. And I still remember exactly how the dog died at the end. I'm not going to tell you, but like, it drove me crazy. Where the red fern grows, the same thing. So now I'm trying to think of like a fiction dog or a dog that's been portrayed. Like, I like the Balto movie from when I was a kid, but Balto was a real dog, and also there were other dogs that helped get the medicine to Nome, Alaska. I think that's where they were trying to get, right? To Nome. It's bad that I don't remember after being like, I loved that movie as a kid. God, this is actually really hard because I freaking, like I said, I stay away from dog things because they always end up dying. Which, ugh. I guess, 101 Dalmatians. I'll go that. They don't die in that. That's so good. Okay. So, like the little fat puppy. That's probably me. Like, I just like to eat lots of food. So we'll say 101 Dalmatians, the fat little puppy, or Purdy or Pongo. Anyone from 101 Dalmatians there. That's good. Those are my favorite fictional dogs. Oh, or now you've got me on a roll. Now I've got myself on a roll. The dogs in Aristocats that steal Edgar's hat. Oh my gosh. Who is it? Napoleon and Lafayette? Is the other one? One of them is 100% Napoleon. Is the other one Lafayette? No, I can't remember. That's bothering me. But yeah, the dogs from the Aristocats too. Hilarious. What a great team. Loved them. So comment down below. Who's your favorite fictional dog? If you read Fairy Tale, what do you think? Thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, comment down below, share with other people if you know they like books and book reviews, and you all have a great day.